Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Tanya McMartin. I'm one of the core faculty members here at Alliant University. The purpose of this video is to provide guidance to our mentoring educators so that you are better equipped to support and coach our new credentialing candidates here at Alliant University. Let's get started. What I want to say first is I want to simply say thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to guide our candidates. We know this is not an easy job, and we appreciate your time, your expertise, and your commitment to their success. A few reminders: they are indeed enrolled in an asynchronous online program, and your voice matters. We depend on you for your insight and day-to-day coaching of our candidates, and we're here to help. There may be times when you are asked to review and evaluate their job performance and the professional dispositions. Your voice matters, so please establish a frequent habit of communication with your candidate so that you keep them involved in their own evaluations as they move through the program. There are some common acronyms that you're going to come across in our program. The first one that you might see is something called the CTC, stands for the California Teaching Commission. We love our acronyms, so of course we can't keep going without something called the EdTPA, the Education Teacher Performance or Portfolio Assessment. This assessment portfolio is scored and tracked by a third party such as Pearson, and every student in every credentialing program needs to pass that in order to get their credential. You also have a DES, otherwise known as a District Employee Supervisor. You are a DES as a mentoring teacher. We also sometimes call those mentoring teachers collaborating teachers, and we also call them DSPs. So between these four terms, DES, DSP, MT, and CT, they all pretty much mean the same thing, which is basically someone who is a credentialed teacher alongside this new teacher who is supporting them as they go through their credentialing program. And finally, you're going to find out something about the teacher performance expectations. And the teacher performance expectations are a list of skills that new teachers should demonstrate, particularly when they are completing their EdTPA. The clinical practice series for interns is a 4-course series, and interns are a little bit different. Interns are teachers of records in their own classroom. They are getting paid while they student teach, and their intern credential is only valid for 2 years. So they must finish the intern credentialing program within those 2 years, otherwise their credential will expire. So while they are enrolled in these clinical practice courses, they have to record hours that they are teaching in front of students as a teacher of record, and also student hours that they're observing other teachers. And all of this is done through these 4 courses called clinical practice. At the very end of those 4 courses, we're asking that our students submit their EdTPA and apply for their license or credential as a teacher. The hours required for single subject and multiple subject interns, 4 courses. Each one of those courses requires 196 documented hours working with students. 150 of those hours are teacher of record in front of the room. Support hours, there's 36 of them. Support is like lesson planning, professional development, meeting with parents, meeting with other teachers, staff development, and so on. And then ELL specific hours, there are 12 of them. These are hours that are dedicated just to the success for ELL students. So think about meeting with specialists, think about planning, reviewing data. All of those are hours that count towards those 196 hours. Once again, they need 196 hours for every one of their 4 terms in clinical practice. As important as it is to get experience subbing, if they are subbing or they are outside of their contracted space that is registered with Alliant, they cannot count those hours. So please make sure that they're not pulled from their classroom very often, because it will basically eliminate their ability to fulfill their hourly contracts. So any hours that they're subbing or outside of their contracted assignment do not count. Hours for ed specialists are a little bit different. Of those 150 hours that they're required to be teacher of record, in the first 2 courses, clinical practice 1 and 2, 50 of those hours have to be in general ed. So 50 hours of their 150 have to be in general ed setting, the other 100 can be in special ed setting, and then in clinical practice 3 and 4, they can have 150 hours in special education setting. They also have their 36 hours of support and the 12 hours of ELL, for a total of 196 hours in every one of their clinical practice courses. Important again, they cannot get paid for any subbing work that they're doing. If they're getting paid outside of their assignment that has been registered with Alliant, they cannot count those hours. Student teachers look a little bit different. They are not paid, and they are working alongside a veteran teacher. They record the hours just as an intern does, and they go through 4 courses just as an intern does. They take the EdTPA just as an intern does, but they are not getting paid. Therefore, their hourly requirements are a little bit different. Their hourly requirements for single subject and multiple subject student teachers, they have in the first two courses for clinical practice 1 and 2, you need 60 hours of observation and 100 hours if you're a special education credentialing candidate. And we're not expecting them to teach, either co-teach or solo teach until clinical practice 3 or 4. So clinical practice 1 and 2, they are only observing. Clinical practice 3 and 4, we should gradually move them into the responsibility for running their own classroom. Please don't abandon them. Make sure that you take it in pieces and that you give them more responsibility as time goes by. Total hours for clinical practice series is 600 for multiple subject and single subject, and 680 for special education candidates. Remember that they cannot record the hours if they are getting paid as a sub. So if they're asked to sub for you or for another teacher, they cannot record those hours. Key assignments in clinical practice courses, those key assignments, they look somewhat similar. There are lesson plans that they must complete. There are videos they have to record themselves teaching in front of students. Let's talk a little bit about those videos. Each video sets focus on a different set of TPEs. The interns are going to have videos, 3 of them, in every one of their clinical practice courses. In the student teaching track, they only have videos in the CP3 and 4. Those videos are 10 minutes long of consecutive, uninterrupted instruction. We don't want a highlight reel. We want the whole thing. We want to see how they navigate through behaviors. They want to navigate through the interruptions in the classroom. And remember that they have to be teaching in front of a live student audience. If they are a single subject or a multiple subject candidate, they have to have 4 bodies in their audience. Ed specialists can have as few as 1. Okay. Down at the bottom, you're going to notice there are 4 assignments. Those 4 assignments are going to require your participation as their collaborating teacher, mentoring teacher, DES, DSP, all the above. Week 4 midterm check, an hourly log, a dispositions assessment, and a quarterly summative assessment. The hourly log is something that they fill out. They're just going to ask you to sign it. It needs to be signed either in pen or through an e-verified signature, like something through DocuSign. The midterm check, the dispositions assessment, and the quarterly summative assessment are all deployed through something called the university's AMS, otherwise known as Assessment Management System. The platform that we use, the program we use, is called Anthology. Let's take a look about how we do that. These 4 assignments are going to require your participation, and they start in the middle of the course, and they run through the very last week. The Assessment Management System, otherwise known as Anthology, your candidate is going to ask for your contact information during week 1. They're going to specifically be looking for the email that you want to use for your Anthology account. If you're going to use your school email, be careful, because sometimes our school emails get filtered out through our filtering spam filters, and we might miss that login information. So I recommend, if you have a really strict spam filter in your school, to use your personal email. It just makes it a little bit easier. But if you do use your school email, look out for the email around week 3 from Alliant that'll give you your log information to Anthology, which is otherwise the university's AMS. And that account is what you use to complete your students' evaluations, your candidates' evaluations. This is a little video clip that'll show us a little bit about how to do it and how to establish your account, and also how to navigate to assessments pending. Check it out.
This is a video overview to show District Employee Supervisors how to complete their candidates' Week 4 feedback form assessment and their Week 8 quarterly summative assessment and dispositions checklist assessment. They will receive emails from Anthology Portfolio in their personal or school email address, whichever email the candidate they support used to send them the assessments. They can open the assessment and open the email and go to the email. There is a link that says go to Anthology Portfolio. They can click on that. It will take them to the guest login page, and they enter their email address and click login, and they will be taken directly to the assessment. When the assessment opens, they can either go to the dashboard on the left margin and click dashboard, and they will see that they have assessments pending. When they click on that, they will see the dispositions checklist for week 8, the QSA for week 8, and then the week 4 feedback form. We'll start with the feedback form. Click on that on the row menu and select Assess. When this opens up, go to the right side and click See All Criteria. And then on the top left, click Show Detailed View, and they will see the complete assessment. The week 4 feedback form is unique in that the district employed supervisor is not giving the candidate they support a grade. They are only offering feedback. The candidate will then take that feedback and write a reflection, and then they submit that to their faculty for a grade. So this is just an observation. The observation, you indicate whether or not you observed any of the activities from the TPEs that are identified. For example, TPE 1, engaging and supporting all students in learning, you can, and that's candidate strength. If you witness the candidate having a strength in this area, you can click feedback and leave a comment and identify the strength that you observed.
Okay, let's take a break on that because it does get a little glitchy when I have a video playing inside of a video. Okay, I'll come back and we can review how to take a look at that week 4 assessment in just a second. All right, the week 4 feedback form is done during week 4. It does not impact their score. You're just looking to check in with them. The last 2 are the week 8 dispositions assessment and the week 8 quarterly summative assessment, and then signing the log. Signing the log, the student is going to provide either a paper copy or they're going to do a PDF and they're going to send it to you through a platform like DocuSign or EverDocs or PandaDocs to get an e-verified signature. You must verify that their hours are accurate and make sure that you sign it in person in hand or by e-verified. Do not just type your signature because they'll get returned. So make sure that there are hours that are accurate, that they were there for what they're recording, and they're being honest on their logs. The next look we want to take a look at is the dispositions assessment. The dispositions assessment is basically looking at the professionalism on the job. It's delivered through their AMS platform, like you saw in the video. It asks you to review how they are in their job. How are they professional? Are they dependable? Are they interacting with students? Are they professional with colleagues? Are they receptive to feedback? And so on and so on. The rubric is what I want to call attention to because the rubric is very strict. It's based on the university's minimum passing grade of 80% in order to move forward in graduate work. So in order to get full credit, their final score for you has to be between 100 and 85. If it's between 84 and 74, they get half credit. If it's lower than 74, they don't get any credit. So the score that you generate on this dispositions assessment does impact their grade. So your voice matters, okay? The same thing is true with the quarterly summative assessment. The same strict rubric applies. It asks you to assess the TPEs that you've viewed in the classroom. The one thing I want you to understand is that if you give them zeros, if you haven't seen it, giving them zeros can really dramatically impact their grade. So I would recommend that you give them half credit if you haven't seen it yet and just, prefer, like it's going to come in another term. Giving zeros is if they just can't do it and that you want to revisit that, or if you think that maybe they need to be held back from the course. Okay, so just understand that the rubric that they have is very strict. So 100 to 85 is full credit, 84 to 74 is half credit, and lower than 74, they receive no credit. Supporting your candidate. We ask that you're their cheerleader, you help them record their lessons, you're their tech support, you coach them while they're delivering their lessons, and you provide input. It's going to look different for each one of these different types of students. Supporting interns, you're going to observe them, but they're running their own class. Review their lesson plans with them and provide insight, review data, help them analyze it, advocate if they're struggling with time management, help them observe other classrooms because they're going to need to be able to get out of their own classroom to go to observe other teachers, and encourage them to attend office hours if they're lost. Supporting student teachers, you're going to have a gradual release of responsibility. Make sure that you don't abandon them. They need your guidance. Be present in the classroom with them to help with delivery and classroom management. Co-plan their lesson plans, plan alongside them, provide insight into pacing and rigor, into grading, into all the parts of the job that we don't necessarily account for, like parent meetings and staff meetings and bus duty and supervisions and all of the above. They should be doing all that you're doing every day. So your important feedback and your guidance is really important. All right. We would not be able to do this without you. So once again, thank you so much for all your time and effort. We appreciate you here at Alliant, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.